Much. And Remco, it was an interesting week last week. I was attended a conference, the CDO IQ conference. That's with Richard Wang and Professor John Talbot. And the whole 2 days on the conference, I was talking to Professor John about how generative AI and AI are going to be changing data management. And he kept on repeating this one phrase: is stop thinking about attribute value, in terms of designing the entities and then looking at the attributes and then finding the value. And his whole premise was that ChatGPT, OpenAI, generative AI are doing so well at recognizing and understanding the core concepts of whatever we're doing and even to the detail. And he said, we go through this process of bringing this information in from the outside. We then break it up into structured information according to our models, and then we get back into the visualization, and then we want to go back into natural language processing. So it comes in our natural language, and then we present it in natural language. I mean, we certainly see Power BI with its ability to, you can talk to it and it presents the data to you and creates a visualization. So he kept on saying this whole thing of forcing ourselves into a structured environment is pretty much over. That was his final comments. So it's I look forward to that. I look forward to Remco's talk in terms of how he's seeing the same thing.
To jump on that wagon immediately, Howard, I did a small presentation, I think 2 weeks ago, something like that. A little bit different, but the topic was also about data vault and AI and data vault. And I came up to a case study of VaultSpeed, one of the data vault automation tools. And they actually said, hey, if we have the data available, modeled in any way, either as a big data lake kind of style or dimensional or one big table, so one unified table, can we just ask in natural language, just, hey, give me what is the ID for this person, or can you give me the top sales of this quarter, just in natural language? And to be honest, the better your data is modeled, basically, if you just have everything in one big table, so it's completely denormalized, so it's 100% correct, it is pretty damn good in giving you the answer.
Yeah,
So you can
those
ask
flat files.
in natural language. It's almost spot on. At the same token, the whole part in between, because if you ask the same question to just the lake house kind of environment they had, so just loosely coupled tables, the answer were pretty rubbish.
Yeah.
So there's a whole world to win on this one, where you say, we need to have some way where we can connect what we have on data into some kind of a data model to be able to, in the end, have natural language questions finally.
Right.
How to get there? That's a big question mark. Well, it's pretty damn good in recognizing business concept. That we'll see in my presentation as well. But I still think it's doing a lousy job in modeling.
Yeah.
But that's just what my talk is going to be about. So
okay, fantastic.
If you don't mind, I'm going to start sharing my screen and
presentation. Yes, please do.
And don't worry, I will get a subset of these slide, maybe all slides. I'll make sure that Howard and Debbie get it. So for people to share, that's up to that one.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. This is my presentation. Basically, it was my summer job. I was discussing what am I going to do this summer. I did some renovation work in the house. That's one of the things. Another thing was, let's find out, can AI replace the data model? Because let's be very honest, AI is everywhere nowadays. And if you don't have a system integrator or a tool vendor or professional, if you don't talk about AI, apparently you missed the boat. that's basically the message they are giving. I will be honest. When I started up this whole session, I discussed with Hans a lot about, hey, what are we going to do? We might want to do something about it, and I think we are doing now for close to a year the first little steps on getting AI and data modeling together. And I was very skeptic. I'm still skeptic, and I think that's the right mode to be in, to be skeptical in what AI is going to bring you. But for those of you who don't know me that well, this is who I am. Well, of course, not that small piece of Lego. And I'm Remco Broekmans. I work at Generative Academy. I'm a trainer. I'm a coach. I'm a data modeler. I'm Dutch, currently in Denmark. But I'm Dutch. I love to do some rock climbing. Did sometimes, but I love to do it. I love walking. I love hiking. So basically, that's me. And I love to play with Lego. So in that case, I'm in a good spot in Denmark. My journey was about what are possibilities of using AI to create data model any given business case. So I give some business case, some text to a tool, to an LLM, and then they give me a data model. And I was just thinking, where are we at the moment on the train? Because you have to jump on the train, right? That's the analogy. And what are the steps to that? What are the steps we need to do or to create to have AI really taken over the job of data? And can we? So I was just comparing, you know what? People looking at me say, well, you're an old-fashioned data modeler, so I'm the steam train and AI is the bullet train. So am I still leading the bullet train, or is the bullet train already taking over? This is kind of what I try to do. One of the downsides, by the way, these are pictures. Most of my images are created by DALL-E, so that's from ChatGPT or OpenAI. And it's very hard to get the tool to do what you want. So it's going to be a phase in my presentation anyway, because we want to have logic, business rules, tools, knowledge, which need to do what you want. And that's apparently a little hard thing. But let's first introduce AI. And this is the ChatGPT version. I'm talking about ChatGPT mainly because we have a license for that one, and it's easy to work with. I didn't want to find out about. I looked into Claude, I looked into Gemini, I looked into Copilots, I looked into a lot of LLMs. But for me, basically, I'm doing now ChatGPT. It works for all the other LLMs. It's kind of working the same kind of the way. Interestingly enough, I asked ChatGPT, which is from OpenAI, what are you doing? Tell me who you are. And it came up with some stuff that I'm assisting with answering questions, explaining concepts, blah, 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 whatever. And I was really much triggered by the term assisting, because everybody talking about AI says AI, artificial intelligence, and it's going to take over. You don't have to do anything anymore. And even when you're asking ChatGPT, what are you doing? It doesn't say I'm taking over everything. I'm artificial intelligence and I know everything faster than you are. No, it just says I'm assisting, and that's how I kind of see the whole OpenAI stuff. So it's more for me, it's like a baby robot, a toddler, whatever, which can help me, can assist me, can do some stupid work for me. Again, I was trying to do LLMs of using DALL-E to give me some nice pictures. If I'm looking at the whole LLM from ChatGPT or Copilot, Gemini, whatever, and all those there, and I imagine it's all in a big box. And all the topics representing something about data modeling, and it could be a LinkedIn post, it could be a book by Boyce and Cobb, it could be a paper written by whatever, all the kind of information, because that's all part of the knowledge base of LLM, is a small dot. And actually I said, yeah, fun, but I don't think there's so much talk about data modeling in the world. So you know what, limit to 75 dots in total. And it came back with even more dots. And it opened the box, but even more dots than 75. And I think, okay, how hard is it for a tool, a very technical tool, which I said, dots cannot consume more than 0.5% of the total volume I want to show, and I don't want more than 75 dots. And then I changed it to 75 dots in total because I thought it was creating 75 dots per color, and even dropped it more. And this is where my issue with LLMs at the moment is that it's very hard to get it where you need to go to. Even if you're giving it the specific information, it's very hard. Another issue is, for me, an LLM is lacking creativity. And data modeling on itself is an art. It is not a very standardized, oh, this is input, this is output, there it is. It is a piece of art. That's why we have data modelers. And I know we can discuss a whole bunch about how arty it is and how technically it is, but basically you're transforming or mapping whatever the business is doing into some kind of a model where your data and information is coming from. That is not so much hard technical stuff. It is creative stuff. And LLMs they are not creative. Really, they are not. One of my things, at least I'm thinking, and you're completely entitled to another opinion. I love to discuss this one, but for me, the LLMs, looking at data modeling, there's a whole bunch of scattered information on data modeling. There's so much information found, but there's no comprehensive view on data modeling in the world. Never has been. There's even contradictory information on data modeling. Because if you're looking, especially when you're looking at blogs or LinkedIn or whatever, you see people say, you should always model it like this. And other people say, no, you should always model like this. And I'm not talking about which kind of modeling pattern, because we have a whole bunch of different modeling patterns working around. 3NF, dimensional, data vault, any dialects. We have focal point modeling, anchor modeling, hook. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. If you go dimensional, right, are you going to do type 2 or type 3 or type 4, type 7? Third normal form, where you can go into, I think, 9th normal form nowadays, including all the between ones. There are so many data modeling patterns. Which is the one you're going to use? If you're asking, we'll see later on, if you're asking ChatGPT, it will just give you an ER schema, because apparently that's the most prevalent way of modeling. If you don't ask anything, it said, well, it should be an ER model. Why? Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I want to have something different. I know something different. Also, another thing is, I'm saying about the third normal form boycott. Yes, that is kind of more or less stayed the same. But especially when you look in dimensional modeling, there has been some changes over time in dimensional modeling, the way we're looking at dimensional. That's why we split it up that many dimensions at a time. On data vault, I'm a data vault modeler myself. Paper came out in around 2000, and there are so many changes being done, and we're still evolving the data vault modeling pattern. All the old information is still there. So do you want to have that information, the old information, want to have the latest pattern? And to be very specific, all information there up till about last year, right? Most LLMs lagging a year in knowledge understanding. And my thing is, and I discussed with a whole bunch of people, I discussed with Howard, I discussed with Sander Baines, Shane Gibson, New Zealand. And what I was thinking was, okay, how can we ask anyone anything, a question, say, create a data model without giving guidelines? You have to give guidelines. I want you to create a data model, and these are the guidelines. For us data modelers, and again, I think I'm a data modeler, well, I know I'm a data modeler. If people ask me to say, hey, Remco, would you help me? We need to create a data model. I'm going to ask, okay, what do you want the data model to do? What do you want to achieve? What are your boundaries? What are your guidelines in your business? Yes, I know data modeling, but I need to know what kind of model I need to apply within the guidelines, within the business I'm using. If we don't give those guidelines, you cannot create a data model. How can we ask AI to say, oh, create a data model without giving those guidelines? And bear in mind, one thing that the LLMs are really bad at is listening to guidelines you provide them. because it has all the information. So there's a balance we need to work on. And there are some steps, and I'm going to show you my steps I'm doing. I'm not there yet, but I think I'm well on the way, at least for a part. So I asked, and this is one of my last posts, I said, I want a picture of a toddler robot just on a bowling alley playing balls, and he needs to aim at data models. I don't want pins. I specifically said, I want you to aim at data models, not at the pins. And apparently, the LLM says, or the LE says, yeah, you know what you need to do? If you're bowling, bowling is towards pins. You have to throw away pins. If you're not throwing away pins, it's not bowling. At least that's what I'm thinking that is happening. So that's why I still got the pins, although I specifically said, I'm going to the end, no pins. So how do you want to make sure that all the guidelines, all the instructions we are going to give are really used? Because again, I'm asked, I want 6 lanes. I only see in this picture 5. I think there are 2 because I reiterated them, said, no, this is not what I want. Do again, do again, do again. So some I had CD 6, like I think 2 or so. Some had 5, some had 4, some had more. I said, I want 6 lanes. I don't want pins. I want post-its. And it's coming up to. And even if you're looking from a bowling perspective, because let's be honest, you're specifically not allowed to walk on the track when bowling. Yes, Howard.
Remco, I think we should also recognize that the LLMs that we're using at the moment have been trained by and with all of this excess information, as you rightly point out. But it is also possible to scratch and start the LLM from fresh and just focus on your view and your content and your knowledge. So a lot
You're
of
giving away my presentation, Howard.
uh, sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. And this will be, and again, for those people, yeah, you need to do something to get rid of all the extra information you don't want it to use. And that's one of the things we need to do. So how can you make sure that the guidelines instructions you use get rid of all the information you don't want it to use? And specifically say, and only use this information. That's basically what you need to do. So, but now a little bit more. There's a little bit more to it, luckily. So, I did a presentation for you as well, Howard, or that myself, about context everything.
Yeah.
And I'm using this one just as an internet. So if I was when I was discussing this one, right, about this box, and said, how do I look at this box? And I was looking at this box, and my point of view was, I have an identifier, I have some reference information, I have context. So these are all the stuff I'm talking about when I'm talking about this box. That's my point of view, because I, as a data model, think, if I'm looking at that Salmiakki box, what do I want to know? I want to know how I identify it, I want to have a name, I want some extra information, I want to have a reference to who is making it. So I am already referring to, this is what I need to know when I see this box. Because I know data modeling, I know business, this is what we want. If I'm asking ChatGPT, well, the 4.0 version which I'm referring to, say, oh, here's a picture. Describe the picture and provide as much information as possible. Maybe I shouldn't have said as much information as possible. But it gives me a whole bunch of information, including that Salmiakki is an acquired taste. For in some countries, it is really used and popular. For the Netherlands, I love my licorice. So, and Salmiakki and licorice are more or less the same. Not completely, but more or less. But it gives me a whole bunch of information. But it doesn't give me anything. Okay, how do I identify the box? So I need to come up with an extra information to say, okay, how can you identify it? And it says, yeah, you know what, you can do it because you know the company, you know the dimensions of the package. Yeah, but as a data model, you want to say, it has an identifier because an identifier is used in your point of sales. It is used in your ordering system. It's used everywhere. So apparently for us working with data, that identifier, for instance, is very important. So we need to do a little bit more. At the same token, it gives me information which I haven't thought of. But that, this is interesting. I get more information and some I was hoping for when I asked for an example, just an example of the information that I give it above, but also gave me some extra information. Oh, if you're looking for this information online, this is how you look for it. And this is the cool thing about AI, I guess, on data and looking for it. You can ask it a simple question to say, how do I want, if I want to look for a specific piece of information, what question do I need to ask? It can help you in finding the information. And I think that's a very interesting part. That's basically what I want to say about this one. But it's interesting to see where we are going. So who's right? Of course, I'm right. But then again, AI actually is describing the picture and try to be objective. It also adding more information to it, and it gives me answer which it gives me information I didn't even search for, which it still gives me some interesting information. If I ask anyone in the data world to say, could you please describe this box? What are you doing when you see a box like this or a product? You're looking for, you want to have some data. What do we need to have? Well, I need to have some kind of identifier. I need to have some kind of information, whatever. You're already taking into account what might be important for reporting, for business, for your process. And I think that's very interesting. But are you more to the point as a human? Maybe, or maybe not. And I think the difference is, again, if you ask AI something, make sure that you are going to ask and to say, this is what I want to achieve. And also provided feedback. Give feedback to your LLM to say, yeah, this is the answer you gave me, but in fact, this is what I'm looking for. So thank you very much. Please take into account next time I ask you a question, use my feedback I give you now to answer the question. In other words, get your LLM being smarter and smarter and smarter. Give more guidelines, give more, set the boundaries also very important. Yeah, any questions so far?
No questions on the chat, Remco?
No questions on the chat, okay.
But we could, I don't know if anyone's got a question that they may want to ask now. No.
Come later. No worries. Talking about boundaries, talking about guidelines. Again, I'm a data modeling guy. I already did some presentations for you guys, so for down South Africa as well, and other presentations. I love data modeling, doing it from an L perspective. So I'm always looking at, okay, if I'm looking at any organization, what I'm trying to find, what are the core business concepts? What are the important things an organization is talking about? And I categorize them into an event, person, thing, place, concept. Talk that later on. I also want to understand what kind of content history we have and how things are related to each other. So there is something, describing something and connecting some things. In data vault modeling, data vault guy, we are saying we are going to store an identifier in the hub, relationships in the links, and contacts and satellites. So that's basically that's how we do it. So, and we do separate because identifiers and relationship between identifiers are not changing. And context is constantly changing over time. So we separate the two to make our life a little bit easier in data model. If you do third normal form or dimensional or any other, basically you're still, in my opinion, still looking for the same stuff. You're looking for business concepts, you're looking for context, and looking for relationships. You might store it differently, but basically those three parts will still be there. And I think that's a very important thing to understand. So let's model a business case. A grooming business. We have a small case in Genesis Academy. It's all about a grooming business where a person goes to a store and drops off his dog being groomed, so being nicely attended to, washing, cutting his hair, all the kind of fun stuff you do with dogs apparently, and then you pick it up and you have to pay for it. That's basically our business model. So what I did, and I did it yesterday, and I was, to be honest, or today is Monday, right? Yeah, somewhere this weekend. Well, yes, Sundays and Mondays, so right, Howard. So it
Yes.
was probably on a Sunday, and I was thinking, okay, let's give this information to ChatGPT and just say, hey, here's my case. Create a model, and this is what it came back with. I just asked ChatGPT earlier this week, say, here's your grooming business, and give me back your model. And what we see some kind of an ER diagram where an owner and a dog is related to each other. Apparently, owner makes an appointment for a dog with a grooming specialist, an assistant, well, the whole stuff. To be honest, I was thinking, it got my business concept, right? It got owner, dog, appointment, grooming specialist, assistant, sales associate, payment. It is lacking a couple of them. I had grooming in as well. So, but at the same token, I think effort well done. But this is when you just ask, I want a data model. I never heard of people asking me the question, hey, I want a data model. And I just start modeling a data vault model and not only even asking, why do you want a model? What do you want to achieve with it? What do you want to do? Because if I'm going to create a data vault model and the only thing they want to do is do very fast reporting and data science, I might not just start off with data vault model. I might, but I also might not. So I need to understand what you want to do. And ChatGPT is just like a very eager junior or toddler data model. I like to say toddler, even younger data model. Oh, I can create a data model. There it is, without asking what do you want. So I specifically then asked gave the same case and said, you know what, give me a dimensional model. And I come up with something like this. It's a dimensional model, right? I have an owner, a dog, grooming specialist, assistant, associate, payment. You see, by the way, it's missing an S, the T. So it's kind of, well, that's not cut off by me, but it's just cut off by ChatGPT. It gives me a dim day, effect appointment, and a dim payment. And I was just looking, because it also gave me the information on tables. I was looking at what in dim payment. Let me look. And I saw amount was in dim payment. And then, wait a minute. Amount is metric. I always learned that metrics should not be in dimensions. It should be in a fact table. So if I would do this one, I would kind of do it like this. I have my fact appointment. Yes, all the other dimensions will just stay. I don't care. I'm pretty happy with it. But then again, it is not the AI out of the box dimensional data model. You need to adjust it. And I think there is the part I'm talking to during this whole presentation, and the thing I want to is not just I want to set boundaries, but also don't trust what's been given to you. You have to look carefully. What is it? What are you suggesting? Because remember, AI, if you ask them, what are you doing? They're assisting. So see it as, hey, I'm helping you to get some kind of model. And then I can change it. And if I would do it correct, then I would say, oh, by the way, nice that you gave me dimensional model, but this is what I need you to do. And the reason why payment should be in the fact table, because it has amount, which is a metric, so it cannot be in dimension. Basically, again, I'm a little bit older guy, not as, because I have more than a Monday and a Sunday, so I'm not as old as you, Howard. I'm a little bit older guy. So what you do, you help new people which are new on the block of data model. You help them. How? Hey, you're doing something. You come back to me. Hey, I created something, and you provided feedback, and you hope that next time they are appreciating that feedback and doing it better. So that's what you're trying to do. You need to give it feedback to say, next time, nice effort, we improve, we are the seniors, we know this which you should do. And of course, I also asked for a data vault model. This is the data vault model I gave. I was very happy to see a couple of things. The colors are nice. I don't have any yellow blocks on links, so no satellite, no context on links, which I think it's a good thing. It kind of went off over here because it goes from a hub to a satellite, from a satellite to a link, which is completely not done against any rule in any different data vault term. So, and at the same time, I was disappointed because it is just the only thing it did is, hey, I have my ER diagram, and what I'm going to do, all the lines I have between two entities, the relationships, I'm going to put a green box in between, or green circle in between. Those are links, and I'm going to add a yellow circle next to the blue one because that's my context. It's basically the same. So it's a very technical representation, data vault representation of the model I'm starting off with. Not taking into account anything we want to do in data vault modeling or in any LTL approaches. So, okay, but then again, not a bad attempt. I would say this is what I want. I just said, you said appointment, I say it's grooming because that's the thing. He was talking about assistant. I say in the business case, we talk about employee helping out. So we didn't talk about assistant, although I can say assistant might be the better word. Added payment somewhere, and I didn't have payment because I just created two relationships. And the relationships are completely off, by the way, on the model they do. So I improved this information. But then again, out of the box ChatGPT, I didn't set any boundaries. I didn't give it any information to learn. This would be my model. Good attempt. So now we're going to put up boundaries. And the first thing, do we need improvement? Yes, of course. It is scary, by the way, that it doesn't even look bad because people will think, it ticks all the boxes, doesn't go away from any rules you're setting, even on the data vault model. So let's implement. And that's my scary part, that people are going to, from a business case, 100% to a data model through AI, which kind of looks okay, and just say, you know what, let's implement. And that's my scary part. So what would be my approach? Doing it in smaller steps. I always say that you need to model in small steps. Basically, introduce bias. And I was at a presentation from Marcel Muller some time ago, and he said, and I was on LinkedIn, by the way, as well, some discussions. He said, yeah, bias in LLM is very scary. Yeah, it is. At the same token, if we introduce bias, we are pushing it into what we want to, it might be a good thing. So what I did, and again, you don't need to read it out, you get slides you're getting. What I gave ChatGPT, I gave it as some bias before the case description. So basically my prompt would be something like this, input, and then I gave the business case. And while I was doing this one, I'm giving it bias to say, I'm not just looking for a data model. I just want to look for what are my core business concepts. Oh, by the way, in your core business concept, you should categorize them. And this is how the categorization is, what I'm looking for. And that was one of the first things I did in testing, right? It was a long summer. And it gave me, hey, I have a couple of events, an appointment, and it's a definition with it, the scheduled time for a dog grooming session. It's a very nice kind of piece of information, right? It's doing a perfect fine job. So not unhappy. What I would do with this part, I would go back to the business side if I was doing this one and said, these are the events or the business concept and divided into events, person, places, and things, and maybe some others. These are the ones I get out of the business case. Do we agree? So for me, it should be helping, speeding up my everything what I want to do in a workshop. So what I did, I was kind of happy, but not completely happy. I added more information. I wrote a small guide to ensemble modeling, including all the artifacts we're using. And that's the input I gave. I just gave a PDF out of the text out of this one. And in my prompt, I also said, now you know this Helm approach. I will also give you 3 business cases and give you out of these 3 business cases the core business concept with a small definition and the category, and also all the events I get out of it. Just to give more information and to say, not only I give the information, this is how it works, but also almost in real life, I already give you feedback. These are already 3 business cases I did for you, so you can watch and learn. So, okay, I said the last sentence of the whole stuff I gave, it said end training. So then the LLM knows I'm ready. And it came back with nicely almost the same event as before, a little bit better. That's cool. And also the one step further, it gave me the event. It has a drop-off event. What's that? Drop-off, owner, dog, store appointment, etc., etc. So it also gave me already my event. Also give me information about the relationship. Even adding some information, you might on this event, grooming event, you might want to say, I have header information, one time the grooming dog specialist in the store, and one time the grooming employee. One reason, because the assistant, the employee, might be involved and might be not be involved. So let's get it out of the header information. So it's doing a very, very nice job over there. So for simplicity, I left out the store because there's only one. I added the relationship between, it should be between dog and owner, not, it's owner, going over there. But this is basically the model AI provided to me. I hardly changed anything. I left out the store and added the ownership one. But for the rest, this is the model AI gave me after I told it some boundaries. I actually gave some guidelines. This is how it works. And this is basically the model I get out of it. Yes, I drew it myself. If I would say, and now make the drawing, make the model itself, I'm guaranteed that this would be the model. Which is interesting because now it's way closer, and I might say even better than what I did myself and my human point of view. It gives me extra information which might be included. Yeah. The next step is, instead of adding it to the prompt all the time, just create your own LLM. I think that's what you're referring to as well, Howard, in the beginning when you asked the question, said, let's create your own LLM. And again, I use ChatGPT, it's very easy. I know you can do it in Gemini, you can create your own gems, etc. Have your own set of knowledge you want your LLM to help out. This is what I want you to do. You can give it instructions. And by the way, thanks to my good friend Sander Robijns, who helped me out in this direction as well. There's some more stuff to it, by the way. But he gave me this pointer, just like Howard gave me pointers, and Hans and other people gave me pointers. But this is what I want to do. So I just gave it instructions. This is what I want you to do. There's also some information I added, say, by the way, only use the knowledge I'm providing. Don't look anywhere else. So don't look outside your own knowledge base. Here's a training set. And I can create a training set as big or small as I want, but the bigger normally is better. There's a whole bunch of documents in it. And now use this data modeling LLM, GPT, as the one to ask questions. And it just already gave it a question, says, please provide me a business case. That's the LLM asking for. Give me a business case. And I will give you back core business concepts, nicely categorized with a small definition and information. basically, that's my journey. Again, I'm not there yet. I'm just an LLM. I'm learning as I'm going. I think we need to have specific LLMs. And my plan is when I have my LLM ready, at least for ELN, and I'm completely happy, I'm going to first share it with a smaller group of people to see if we all get the same information. And I think it might be a good thing to say, we might have something over here to set free to everybody. If you want to do data modeling using the ALM approach or data modeling, we have an LLM for it. Because you can invent the wheel again, but it may not necessary. If we're doing so, one thing we're going to do, and I think this is still something all LLMs are missing, we are going to also give free what is the knowledge we provided. We might not just give you all the specific knowledge, all the information, but say, these are the documents, these are the stuff which you can find on the internet or the information. This is what we're using as knowledge base. And a very simple reason why, if you don't know where LLM is based upon, you might be scared on the answer. Also, I'm currently thinking, and I love to hear your thoughts about it, hearing my information or your experience. I don't think I can create a generic data modeling LLM, because then, or we have to be very specific. One is knowledge overkill. That should be a thing on the LLM. The other thing is, if you then ask for a data model, you can randomly get a data model. So we either need to be very careful that you have to ask a specific question. I need to create a completely denormalized data model. I can, whatever. Please provide me with all the information you have. Please provide me that completely denormalized data model. Just one table, this the inputs you should have in. Or create my third normal form information, or do dimensional where I want to have many dimensions. Or so if it's going to be one big data modeling LLM, should be interesting. The question should not be give me a data model. The question should be give me a data model according to this approach. We also need to create more training sets. I know we are doing it. I'm doing it. I might even ask other people, say, hey, do you have a nice training set with the business case and the data model with the complete information? If you have it, I'm happy to look at it and to see, that might be a thing. I also think that the ELM approach, by the way, so the one we're using, is a good match because it is really good in describing what are we looking for. We're looking for core business concept, we're looking for relationship, we're looking for context. And if we have a core business concept, we need to have an identifier, all that information. So I think it's a good match. Also, use small steps. I don't think ever I'm going to ask, even not my own specific LLM, to say, give me a data vault, data model based upon this business case. I'm probably going to first say, give me all the core business concept and the definition. Next step, this is cool. I'm giving you feedback on this one. I would say, drop this core business concept, add this core business concept with this definition. With that given feedback, now give me any relationship based on the events, or basically our event canvas. And so doing small steps, being in control, and make sure we're getting that wrong. And again, your LLM, whatever you're going to use, it is not so it says a junior data model or my own toddler. You can multiply this by 100, 1,000, X amount, huge amount, because whenever you're asking the question, and I can imagine that you try the same, right? Hey, I have a question, ask my LLM. I'm giving it feedback and ask it again. Or I'm just refreshing. You're going to completely different answer, or your feedback is not mentioned, not helped out. That's because you're not talking to the same modeler again. And that's something you have to take into account. So we need to make sure that we are going to almost harmonize all our junior data models, all our toddlers. So we need to be in control. Next steps I'm seeing, apart from doing this presentation and hopefully getting a lot of feedback from you guys, I'm going to add more guardrails. One of the things, I'm still in the process of writing a book on Elm, on the whole Elm approach. That should be one of the pieces in the knowledge base. I know that my good friend Hans is updating his data vault book. Modeling the agile data wire for data vault. It's already okay. It's already good. It's from 2012. So we are waiting for next version, and it's coming. I know it's coming. Howard, here it is. Data modeling ontology. Howard gave me nicely feedback on a first attempt of ontology I did for Elm, for data vault modeling. I'm still creating it, and when it's done, when we're finished, when we're happy, I'm going to add it as knowledge. Next week I'm in Stockholm. I'm going to talk to Lars Rumbeck for ink modeling and Patrick Lager, focal point modeling. Hey, I want to have their papers because it's modeling approach and I want to have them in. Effectively, the very important one, I want to introduce a feedback loop. Hey, this is a real life business case. I discussed with the business, we should tweak it a little bit. Dear own LLM, here's the feedback. This is new piece of training you have to take into account every time I'm asking you a question. That's, by the way, an interesting one. And in the end, I definitely want to add more modeling techniques or do similar for different modeling techniques. I think this is almost the last slide. Think about the bias and the ethical part in your LLM. And I think bias is a good thing if you know the bias, if you're introducing the bias. The same with the ethical part. I think we discussed it last time as well, or in another discussion. Basically, all the information the LLMs are based upon are the information that we found on the internet. Who is hugely involved in the internet from the early days? All the white males. It's good to realize that that is your biased knowledge you're having right now. And take in account that it might be a different perspective. So you might want to say, this bias from this specific group introducing all the information might not be the information I need to have. That's why, yes, I want to have a specific element where I know my bias, where I know my knowledge. Because I want to trust my GPT, my LLM. I want to know where it's searching. I need to understand how the LLM works. I think I more or less understand how it works. It's also good to understand that even if you're using your own knowledge base, and this is also something, by the way, I want to work on. Your ChatGPT or your Copilot or your Claude or whatever always wants to provide an answer. Even if it says, and that's one of the things that's going on the internet. There are more things, by the way. You asked any LLM how many stones you need to eat for a healthy diet. And then the LLM says, yeah, it's not so healthy. And then you can say, I'm pretty sure that I read somewhere that it's healthy to eat stones. And then come back with, yeah, sure, eat 2 a day. Because it wants to give you an answer. Instead of just keeping the original set, okay, you might read it, but not a good idea. The same with, we know Pippi Langstrumpf, or Pippi, right? There's a song in the Netherlands for when the show and says 3 times 3 is 6, add 3 is 9. And of course, everybody knows it's wrong, but it's also a nice rhyme. But you could get your ChatGPT using, says how much 3 times 3, and said, yeah, it's 9. No, it's not, it's 6. Oh, you're sure, you're right, it's 6. So you could trick it. And of course, it's fun to trick it at the same token. Yeah, you might not want to trick it. It's not a good thing. Also, I know that Marcel Muller, I had a presentation from him. He was doing from Dama, Australia, and he had some things that, could you please enlighten me, the ChatGPT, how an LLM is working, but don't use the letter E. And it came back with some small definition, small session, whatever, with a whole bunch of E's in. And the very simple thing is, if you're looking at this stuff, it says, ooh, eat. Those are three. So I can see that as a whole. Stones, it can STO, TON, ONE, NEN. It doesn't look at the single letters. It's just looking at, I think, this triax, whatever it's called, looking at the three tokens at the same time. That's how it looks at text, how it analyzes text. So it doesn't look at a single letter on itself. That's also good to understand, because then it makes sense that you still see the letter E in it, because it doesn't see the letter E on itself. Same with probably the bowling. I say, I don't want to have pins. Yeah, but you should have pins, because it's bowling. Bowling pins, 100% correct. So probably that one. I'm going to use AI in future to capture terms used in the business and discuss these with the business. I'm going to give it back again. And how I'm going to capture them, I can either look for emails, documents in the business and just feed it as a business case, or I'm going to record a workshop what I'm doing and just say, ooh, right? Because nowadays, I think even Debbie's recording this one, you can just have it translated to text, right? So spoken words to text, and use that one to say, looking at, hearing this discussion, what are the business terms we're using? What are my core business concepts? And I'm definitely thinking that that's where AI can help you, because it saves you a lot of information. At the same token, give it back to the business. This is what I got out of it. Do you agree? And when there's agreement or no agreement, just give it back as feedback to the AI, to the LLM you're using, because it needs to train. I think small interactive steps, basically. And we're definitely not there yet. This concludes my summer, I guess. Yeah, this is just our fun stuff, and soon there will be some AI relation link over here. Nice summer job, at least. I had a lot of fun doing this part. It was nice to do step away from renovation work and other stuff I happened during the holidays or the summer. It was a very nice thing for me to do. I'm definitely going further, diving into it. And if there's anyone in the audience, either feedback now or want to give feedback later, or say, hey, did you thought about that? Or I'm happy to accept the information. Mark, you're popping up. So
I'm glad. Thanks for sharing this. Thanks for doing the work. Thanks for doing the experiment. And it's something that's been interesting me for a while now. Not replacing data modelers, but using some kind of LLM to do data modeling. I've just been sucked into my client project, so I haven't had the opportunity to hack. So I appreciate hearing your experience. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm happy to share more if you want to, Mark. Definitely, there's some more to it, and there will be more to it. So please stay in touch, and we can discuss.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to tap you for a Dame of Calgary talk yet, too. So
that's cool. Howard, you're muted.
Yes, I am. So Remco, I've also been looking a lot at those ontologies and how do we integrate the ontology with the LLM. And I think that's a very powerful construct. And that ontology can give us the bias and can give us the context. And you could almost, it was an interesting talk that one of the guys gave where they said when they build LLMs from scratch for their customers, and so they are mass producing LLMs, they take in the context, the business glossary, and they take in the terminology, and they take in the environment through the means of a ontology. And then there's something called RAG, which is just the RAG is that ability to constantly introduce authoritative knowledge outside of its training data sources. So you can continue to teach it more about multiple things. Now, when looking at knowledge graphs, and there was a knowledge graph that was built for business analysis, they break these graphs or these concepts into, first of all, industry, that's generic, and then second of all, what's the enterprise context look like, and then what's project context. So they constantly add these, or business case, as you brought in, they constantly can be used to add those knowledge nodes to the LLM. And the powerful thing that I found is, and remember, there's the basic researcher saying you can use your knowledge graph in three ways. The first way is inputs, managing the input. So people can't ask those rubbish questions and force it. So it's basically stopping the question, a false question coming into the model, because it has to be governed by what the ontology is saying. The second one is if the LLM produces the result, that would be checked against the ontology as to whether it fabricated or whether it gave something. Again, you have to be careful because the answer may not be wrong. You may not know about it, and then you'd have to augment your ontology. And then the third one is providing contextual information, or that RAG scenario. Now, the fascinating thing is that you can use that ontology with it to actually validate and check the constraints have been applied to in your model. So there, where it's linking satellite to linked node to satellite, those are the types of things you can augment to help the LLM understand where it's producing incorrect stuff.
And basically that's what I'm doing, and I know there's I looked into the whole RAG stuff and how to set it up, and then I'm not a techie guy, so I was looking at essentially all the Python scripts coming in and think, yeah, you know what, I'm doing it on my own way at the moment. I know people might be doing it in a way smarter or whatever way, but I'm still thinking that the approach we're using is understand by, at least by me, so probably by most people, it's easy done, and we are still need to get that guidelines up and that ontology. Well, I'm not there yet. You saw this one, right?
Yes.
Kind of for people already. It's very small because I don't want to share it completely because I need to tweak it. But basically, I have a business term going to a core business concept, and this is what my category is, and uplink satellites over there, identifier. Basically, I'm trying to write down now what do we mean on every single step, and that's going to be used as input, and what you're saying out, and that should be as well, right? It also should use it on the output if you really wanted to create a data model. And I'm still doubting, do I really want AI to create my data model or just give me just what I did? These are my business concepts. Out of the business concept, these are the events. Events make things happening. So these events are related. These are the core business concept. So this is what all needs to be coming together. And the thing where I'm saying I'm still doubting, I'm going to stop sharing it at the moment because I can see you all, that's better for me. The thing about what I tried to do, I also tried to see if I can automatically change a relationship, because I have one event, right? For instance, a customer comes into the shop, goes to an employee having a sale, and multiple products on the sale. So that should The event says it's a sales event and I need to have a product, employee, a sale, a customer, and a store or shop all together in one relationship. We know a data model by filling in some example records. We found out, you can buy multiple products. So it's better to have one relationship for the header relationship and one detail relationship, right? Sale header, sale line. Basically, that's what you're trying to do. You can just do it by, we human knows, give me some example records. And one of the things I didn't show in my presentation was definitely there, what I did. Give me some example records on events. And it is exactly a sales event. And people can buy multiple products. What it did, it gave me, and it's perfectly fine in creating test sets, by the way, or hardly, or close to perfectly fine. But on this particular one, every single product was its own sale. It was for me, I didn't manage to get say, this is one sale, product, same sale, other product, same sale, other product. It didn't give me that information back. It didn't want to. Because then it would break a relationship which it's So we have to be careful on automatically trying to do that one. Yes, we can help it. Again, it's assisting in my case. I don't want it to say, and I know that there are some tool vendors that give me a business case and I'll create a model.
Yeah.
I did it, I tried it, interesting. I also talked to the guy, said, you should have a big bump between what your model is going to provide and what's going into production. And that big bump should be, I need to have a human decision point. Is this okay? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And that's the scary part about when you're asking LM, this is a business case, give a data model. It gives you a data model with looks, then okay.
Yeah. But isn't it's almost similar to the challenges we faced in building prototypes, Remco, where you hack it and you just get it working and people say, let's take it into production. It's almost that thing that we get lazy but I also feel that, for example, what you're doing here and that initial thing is really good for learning and teaching, for your juniors, and to be able to take them up to an appropriate level where they start seeing how these concepts play out and how they can relate to each other.
Yep, absolutely. And again, it's not only helping your juniors to get faster up to speed, but also be aware that your LLM is a junior on itself.
Well, I suppose it depends on how much you can guide it using, as you say, we also in small steps. So how much can we guide? How much can we constrain with descriptive logic and things like that? So
hopefully we'll get it will be coming a meteor faster than humans, and maybe even machining faster than humans. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, what were expert systems built, in the time back? It's all of trying to get that knowledge out and into the machine, and that's
I wouldn't go back to the old days where we said, we have expert machines or whatever, right? Because let's be honest, LLMs are the only thing why it's bigger right now. It's nothing new. We always tried it. We always did some opportunity. The only thing what is really, really making a big leap is that we now have the power, compute power, the storage power, and connection power to do it faster. But it's not smarter. And even when we go for quantum computing, which is coming, it will do the same stuff way faster.
Yeah.
But it's not doing something different from a knowledge perspective.
So let's
also
ask.
If you ask an LLM to say, here's the book, give me an abstract, it's more or less just throwing away sentences out of your book which you don't want, which is it doesn't add anything, because it doesn't understand what you're giving it. And I think that's the important thing, where a lot of organizations are really, and the big tool vendors and businesses, they love it, and the big system integrators, they said AI is really intelligence. And it's not. It is really just, well, let's say it is just smart computing.
It's
fast
vector.
computing.
It's associations. It's vectorization of the words and context. Yeah. Let me ask you. If, I see a few people leaving. Are there any questions that people would like to ask before we close? I'm sure there's a few. These things we need to be asking more and more questions. That's how we learn. Anything? Yeah, there is one.
Questions.
Yeah, there is one. Rizwani. Yes,
Thanks. So Howard, I was thinking about the examples you gave of how you could use the knowledge graph and ontology, and I was wondering, could you not then take it one step further, and it could look at your data and then find additional patterns in your actual data, additional connections, as well as if you've given it rules, it could infer new relationships.
Yeah, so I don't know whether you've seen the latest stuff that Oracle has put together in terms of looking where you could put these things on top of your own databases, and it goes through your own data, plus it goes through your unstructured data, and so it becomes a lot wiser as to what's happening with it, what's the context within your organization. So you are correct. It can actually go through the data that you have to get a better understanding.
But and to add on this one, add to this one, I discussed with Shane Gibson, good friend in New Zealand, having a nice tool on this one as well, and he's using AI or LLMs just to discover business rules, to do data profiling, to looking into, hey, what information am I missing? So looking to legacy systems to try to find out connections and information. But that is something different than doing a creative process like data mining, at least in my opinion. So there are two, and I definitely think that for error handling or looking into, I have an SQL statement or Python statement or whatever, and it's not doing what I want, help me, assist me. Or I have legacy systems documented for me, or find information, find business rules. What do you mean? I see a column name with just 6 characters and I don't know the metadata anymore. Look at the data, find me the metadata. What do we mean with this one column?
Yeah.
And I definitely think that that's where LLMs are already very, very strong, and also need guidelines, but also very strong. Yeah. That is just looking at this is what I have, and I can provide you. I can find some rules and some stuff to get it back. And the more specific knowledge you give it, the better it is. But doing creative work, it's still not there. I'm not sure